Greetings, math fans. All right, so this is worksheet 6 notes. All right, and so basically, if you look at this note sheet and you look at the worksheet, exact same type of problems except the numbers are different. All right, so let's get started here. All right, it says the kind of directions for the whole thing is use a variable to write an equation that will solve the problem. Show all work to solve for the variable, solutions to be positive, circle your answers. Okay. All right, so it says the width of a rectangular dock is 3 meters less than the length. First of all, the word is means equals. All right, so you're going to write down width is, and it's 3 meters less. So here's the deal. Some people want to do this, 3 meters less, and they want to do L minus 3. Guys, that is wrong. This means L less than 3. This doesn't even make sense. So if you could write that on your paper and then just like cross it off, this is what you really want. You want width is equal to 3 meters less, so it's L minus 3. All right, so that's very important. So always, basically, you're always going to put the variable first. Okay, so if I said 3 meters more, you're going to say L plus 3. Don't put 3 plus L. Just keep it consistent, L minus 3. But think logically. Minus 3 means you're making it less, 3 less than that L. Okay, so that's your first equation. And then it says, and of course L is length, and it says the area of the dock is 40 meters. So its area is 40 meters. Now you guys should know, first of all, this is a rectangle. Okay, you should know the area of a rectangle is length times width. Got to know that. That's like the most basic of the area formulas. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say L times W is equal to 40 because that's the area. And then this is just substitution, guys. I'm going to take that W and I'm going to substitute it right in there. So I'm going to say L times W, and W is L minus 3 equals 40. So what we've done here, math fans, we've actually gotten rid of all the variables except for one, and now we're going to solve it. So you guys should remember from kind of back in the day, right, I distribute the L, so I get L squared minus 3L equals 40. And this is a quadratic. It's got an x squared or an L squared, so you need to move everything to one side. So I'm going to subtract 40 from both sides, and I'm going to get L squared minus 3L minus 40 equals 0. And then you're going to do a nice little factor box here. So L squared, negative 40, negative 3L, and then you're going to say L and L, and then negative 40. You got to think of what numbers multiply to give you 40. Well, there's several of them, but a very common one, again, I'm not going to give you anything tricky, but it's 5 times 8. Okay, so if I do a 5 here and an 8 here, I get 5L and I get 8L. And it's negative, so that means this should be a negative 8L. It means this should be negative here. So if you remember, we do the kind of the cross here with the factor box, so it's L plus 5 and then L minus 8. Okay, so again, it's going to be L plus 5 times L minus 8 equals 0. Okay, and so I solve for that. I get L plus 5 equals 0 and L minus 8 equals 0. So I subtract 5 from both sides, L equals negative 5, and add 8 to both sides. L equals 8. So notice the directions that say the solution should be positive. Well, it makes sense. You certainly don't have a negative length, right? That's just ridiculous. You say, oh, how far is the length of that person? Oh, it's negative 5 feet. I mean, it just doesn't happen. So this is, we're going to cross this one off because it's not one of the answers. So this is it. L is equal to 8. So that's my length. And then in order to find the width, you plug it back into this nice little friendly formula here. Right, the width equals L minus 3. So width equals L minus 3, which is 8 minus 3, which is 5. So just to kind of write it nicely here, the length is 8, and this is in meters, so it's 8 meters, and the width is equal to 5 meters. And that's what I'm looking for. That's your final answer. Okay, not bad. All right, let's move on to the next problem here. The length of a rectangular photo is 2 centimeters more than the width. So again, length is 2 more than the width. So say W plus 2. And again, some of you guys might want to say 2 plus W. And that doesn't necessarily hurt you here, but if you're consistent and you always put that variable first, you're going to get it right. Okay, so if I said it's 2 meters less, you're going to say W minus 2. Okay, so just keep it first and you got your first equation here. All right, the area of the photo is 63 centimeters squared. So area is 63 centimeters. So remember, area equals length times width. So I'm going to take that length and I'm going to plug it into that L there. So I really get W plus 2 times the width equals 63. Okay? Now the W is kind of on that side. Let's move it over here. Who cares? But it's just, you guys are used to that. So I get W squared plus 2W equals 63. Okay, cool. Subtract 63 from both sides. So I get W squared plus 2W minus 63 equals 0. So if you do a factor box, so W squared, negative 63, and 2W, you get W and W. And 63 is basically 9 and 7. So if I write 9 and 7, I get 9W, 7W. Of course, it's got to be positive 2, so this is negative here. Okay? And then we do our little x, so W plus 9, W minus 7. So W plus 9 and W minus 7 equals 0. And set each of those equals 0. So W plus 9 equals 0 and W plus 7, or minus 7 equals 0. So I subtract 9 from both sides, so W equals 9, negative 9, and I add 7 to both sides, so W equals 7. Okay, so as we said before, this is out of here, right? You can't have a negative number, so the width equals 7, and this is in centimeters. Okay, there we go. And then to find the length, plug it into the other formula here. W equals, or L equals W plus 2. So 7 plus 2. So L equals 9. So length equals 9 centimeters. And guys, this is easy to check it too. I mean, look at the width is, or the length is 2 more than the width. 9 is 2 more than 7. And if I multiply those together, 9 times 3 is 63, or 9 times 7 is 63. So that's the area, and I'm good to go. Okay? Okay, so this next one is with a triangle. I give you the formula, so it's a little bit different, but I hand you the formula. So here it is. The area of a triangle is 3 times, or sorry, the height is 3 times the base. What does times mean? It means multiply. So height is equal to 3 times the base. Okay? And guys, here is the formula right here. Area equals 1/2 base times height. So I'm going to take that H, and I'm going to plug it into that H. And I know the area is 24. So here we go. 24 equals 1/2 base times height, which is 3b. Right? H is 3b. So I plugged in where I saw an H, I plug in 3b. Now the best way to solve this one, you want to get rid of that 1/2. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. That gives me 48 equals the 1/2 cancels, and it's basically b times 3b. You guys should know it's 3b squared. Not 4b or 4b squared, it's 3b squared. Okay? So I'm going to divide both sides by 3. This is using the square root method, and I'm going to get b squared equals 16. I'm going to take the square root of both sides. B, I know you're used to plus or minus 4, and that's okay, but understand this is a measurement. So b, or the base, is equal to positive 4 inches. Okay? And the height is, right here guys, the height is 3 times the base. So you're going to say the height, so I'll just say h for now, h equals 3 times the base. So 3 times 4, which is 12. So the height is 12 inches. And there you go. There are your 2 answers. Okay? If I figure out the area, 1/2 base times height, 1/2 times 4 times 12 is 24. And certainly the height is 3 times 4, the height 3 times the base. So we're good to go. Okay? It's not bad. All right. So the next group of problems is actually talking about rounding. Okay, as opposed to like getting a square root, because it says round to the nearest hundredth. So the thing you need to know when I say round to the nearest hundredth, it's if the number of decimal places, it's 2 decimal places. So think of 100. 100 is 2 zeros. That's why it's 2 decimal places. If you can kind of remember it that way. So if I have 1.73296, you round to 2 decimal places. So here's the deal. You always look at this number. You always look at the one after it. And remember, if it's greater than or equal to a 5 there, you round up. So that would be like 1.74. Okay? If it's less than 5, so 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, they say round down, but I like to say keep the same, which means 1.73. You don't touch that. It's 1.73. Okay, so round up would be, again, 1.74, and keep the same would be 1.73. Okay, now since that's a 2, it's less than 5, so you'd keep it the same, and I would round this to 1.73. Okay, so now we have rounding good here. This is, if you guys should remember this, hopefully from your geometry class, this is Pythagorean theorem. So remember, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And what do you guys know? C is always the longest side. Always the longest side. Okay? And it's also opposite the right angle. So it's opposite the right angle. That's important. Opposite the right angle. So in other words, in this problem here, x is c. Okay? So I'm going to write out here 5 squared plus 7 squared equals x squared. And I'm going to solve for that, x. So I'm not going to do any fancy square root stuff like simplifying. I'm going to actually take the square root and use a square root button on my calculator. So I get 25 plus 49 equals x squared. So I get x squared is equal to 25 plus 49 is 74. So again, nothing fancy. You're just going to take the square root of both sides. Don't need to put plus or minus because it's got to be a positive answer. And if I do the square root of 74, I get 8. So x equals 8.6023, blah, 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 blah. So I'm rounding the nearest hundredth. So remember, I look at this place right here. It's less than 5. So I keep it the same. So my answer to this problem is 8.60 as an answer. Okay? All right, cool. Okay, let's move on to the next one here. Same thing, but of course, this is our C right here, right? So we're going to say 8 squared equals a squared. And it doesn't matter which one a and b is. A and b are the legs of the triangle, so that doesn't matter. So I'm going to put 5 squared plus x squared. All right, so I get 64 equals 25 plus x squared. Solve for x squared, so minus 25. So you get x squared equals 39. I take the square root of both sides, and again, you're using your calculator. X comes out to be 6.24499. I'm rounding the nearest hundredth, so again, I look at that 4. It's less than 5, so I keep it the same. So my answer is x is 6.24. Okay? Not bad. All right, so the next one's kind of like number 1 and 2. The length of the rectangle. So the length of the rectangle is 11 feet more. What does 11 feet more mean? It means add 11. And 4 times means multiply by 4. So 4 times something. So in this case, 4 times the width. So I want you to write 4w. It's 4 times the width, which is w, but it's 11 feet more than that. If I said it's 11 feet less than that, it would be 4w minus 11. Okay? So that's really the hardest part of the whole thing. Now here's one more thing. The perimeter is 42 feet. If you guys remember, if I draw a rectangle here, this is a length and a length and a width and a width. The perimeter is w plus w, or 2w. L plus L is 2, so plus 2L, and that's your perimeter. and I'm telling you it's 42 feet. Okay, so here's your first equation, which we came up right away, and then the second equation is 2L plus 2W is equal to 42. All right, and then remember what you do, substitute that in. So you're going to say 2, and then L is 4W plus 11 plus 2W equals 42. Okay, just substitute that L into that equation, and now I just have W. That's all I have here. So if I actually distribute now, 2 times 4W is 8W, 2 times 11 is 22, plus 2W equals 42. So we get 10W, which is 8W plus 2W is 10W, plus 22 equals 42. Minus 22, so I get 10W is equal to 20, and divide by 10. So W equals 2, and it's 2 feet. So that's width. So the width is 2 feet. Now go back to the original problem, right? I want to find out the length, so plug it in. L equals 4 times the 2 plus 11. So L is 8 plus 11, which is 19. So length equals 19 feet. There you go. Those are my two answers. And again, it's easy to check it. The length is 11 more than 4 times width. So let's multiply this width by 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 11, 19. Nice. And the perimeter is 42. So if I multiply the length by 2, I get 38. And I multiply the width by 2, I get 4. 38 plus 4 is 42, which is a good check. Okay? So that's it, math fans. Again, you have all these notes here. This is a note in the Google Drive. You have this note, or the note sheet, you'll do fine on the homework, because that's exactly what the homework is. Okay? That's it, math fans. Have an outstanding day. Adios. Goodbye.